Hello everyone, our group will present about chapter 7, which is conversion business process. I am Jiun Shin and our group members are Roshani and Salini and Taha. And chapter 7 is including 6 learning objectives. We can learn how to describe the business activities that comprise the conversion process and then develop an activity models of the conversion process using BP-Amman model. Also, we can understand and apply different activity modeling options through this chapter. And we can develop business rules to implement controls for the conversion process. In addition to, we can learn how to develop a structure model for the conversion process using UML class diagrams. Finally, we can implement a relational database from the UML class diagram of the conversion process. So, what is the conversion process? The conversion process is more complicated than the sales and collection and purchase and payment process. Why? Because of increased record keeping requirement and variations in the sophistication of the process itself among companies. There are examples of business employee conversion process: bakeries, wineries, breweries, restaurants, and so on. These are the business activities associated with the conversion process. The first one is maintaining inventories. Second, producing finished goods from raw materials. Third, tracking direct labor and direct equipment cost. Last one is applying overhead. As a result, the conversion process generates account transactions to record the transfer of raw material to work in process inventory to finished goods. Also, the conversion process makes the cost of raw materials, direct labor, and other direct costs, determining the cost of goods manufactured. So this is the typical transaction resulting from the conversion process. You can find this figure at textbook as well. And then we can look at the conversion business process through Sunset Graphic Company. The Sunset Graphic Company designs and sells signs and banners and lettering and vinyl graphics for vehicle. Also, they handle corporate items and silk screened t-shirt and embroidered gear, among other products. But the owner also wanted to review Sunset business process to develop better documentation, improve processes, and establish consistency in customer service. And he wanted to make sure that effective internal controls were in place. So, to sum up, he wanted when the quantity on hand of product drops below the minimum level, the item manager authorized production to increase the quantity on hand. And then, based on the bill of material for that item, they issue material into work in process account. As a result, Sunset partners then construct the items. Finally, upon completion, the product placed in inventory. Based on this information, Luciano will explain about Sunset Graphics activity models.
Virgil, the owner of Sunset Graphics, looked forward to adding the conversion process features to Sunset new database. This would mean that his database could handle his entire supply chain, encompassing purchasing, making, and selling his products. The purpose of UML class diagram of the conversion process is to create blueprint for development and operation of relational database to support the collection, aggregation, communication to process information. By follow result agent framework for modeling the business process as a proven approach to describing business process in a way to meet both accounting and broad management information requirement. And this is basic of UML class diagram for conversion process. As indicated by number 1 and number 2, is an employee and supervisor responsibility authorized products for one or more finished good items. Number 3 and 4 denote that employee issue the raw material into work in process inventory based on the bill of material for finished good items. Number 5 show that production employee perform work to make sure the finished goods item and their direct label are recorded. Label what you thought Sunset will build or material should be more than an association. For Sunset, the bill of material contains more than simple link between Sunset material and its final products. He also said that there really has no defined label plan. Sunset just record the direct label in core and use a simple overhead allocation scheme. And this is UML class diagram for Sunset conversion process that we gonna see the employee connected to material issues, product authorization, label operation, and product categories. Material issue that would connect to product authorization, and product authorization that would connect to label operation, and the others as you see in the diagram, and more information in our textbook. Thank you.
Everyone, today I'm going to talking about Sunset Graphics activity models. The first slide is about basic conversion process model. Sunset conversion process is typically of most simple manufacturing companies. In the figure, the process starts when the Sunset need to replenish finished goods inventory. Then the production authorization start production activities including the issue of materials and the use of direct labor. Work continues until the required quantity of the finished good item is prepared. To complete the production, employee transfer product good to finished goods inventory. The second slide is about refining the model. Refining the model has two lanes. The first one is for the inventory manager and second one is for the employee who perform the work. The model shows the inventory manager authorizing production. There are conversion employees set up the batches, issue raw materials, and perform work making the finished good item. At this point, an employee inspect the work, and if the work doesn't meet quality standard, the intermediate error events direct the process flow of the discard errors activity, and the sequence loop back to issue more raw materials. If the batch is not finished, it also directs the sequence flow back to issue more raw materials, and the steps are repeated until the batch is done. Then a second gateway branches depending on whether all batches are complete. If not, the sequence flow is directed back to set up batch activity, and the step repeats until all the batches are done. Conversion employee complete production by placing the finished items in inventory, and the inventory manager update the inventory records. And the third slide shows the conversion process with looping collapse subprocess. This slide shows a looping collapse subprocess to represent the batch activities. There is no need to link the discard error activity back to issue raw materials because the batch need to complete a designated number of good products. The steps in the subprocess are then shown separately in the diagram. This diagram shows the overall flow at higher level and the separate expanded subprocess show additional details. The fourth slide shows the content of the subprocess. Here the collapse subprocess in the expanded subprocess which have multiple level of details for the internal control. Sunset have identified a third lane to show inspect work functions. And the fourth slide is about business rules and sunset graphic conversion process control. Business rule in the business process control can be done by developing business rules. To do that, business need to identify important business events and intention or objective for each events. They need to determine the appropriate action to take based on the condition. There are some conversion process to develop some business rules. So the first one is about authorized productions. For the to do the authorized production intention, uh, partner intention with proper authorized authority authorized production to ensure finished good available to meet expected demands. Partners authority actions, supervisor must authorize productions which is greater than 5000. Access control, partner authorizing production cannot modify inventory control. Application control, system must provide authorization order number control default values range and limit. Check and creates audit trial. The second steps is for issue raw materials, and the intention should be issue raw materials according to bill of material recorded accurately. Partners authority action, partner issuing material must not be same partner that authorize productions. For access control, partner recording issue of material cannot modify bill of materials. And for the application control system must only allow partner to enter numbers of item issued based on bill of materials subject to range and limit to check quantities.
Database, how Virgil try to use it, how we try to allocate. So first of all, like Virgil is now looking to implement the conversion UML diagram in a relational database for the Sunset Company. During the model development process, we again reviewed Sunset's existing documents to determine specific data requirement for each class table. He decided to use the primary key and foreign key allocation to the document, which resulted in a list of tables. So primary key usually works for something unique, and foreign key can be used to connect one table to the other one, like in a different one. For example, I've shared a diagram. As you can see in the diagram, there's primary key, the PK is a primary key, and FK is a foreign key. The FK can be connected to the can be connected to a different type of product, for example, but the primary key can only be connected to the same type of data. For example, over here to primary key can connect it to this one, but the foreign key cannot. Same over here to, for example, like the home house number can connect to a street because it's related to it. Home postal code can be connected to town because it's related. And the primary key, uh, house number, postal code, it can't be connected with the name and house number, like a home house number. Okay. In this slide, I'm gonna talk about the databases and I'll try to define the tables. Okay, as it's shown here, the signs that are here, the key signs are the primary keys, and they're unique than the other data. They're unique than the other data. For example, as you can see, they're connected. They're connected to each other. The foreign keys are connected to each other because they can be connected because they're not unique and can be used for different purposes. But the primary key is unique than the other ones. They cannot be connected. So use this allocation process to define the tables. I'm going to summarize the whole process, the conversion process into these slides in short words. The data tables that we saw in the previous slides are usually trying to define the allocation between foreign key and primary key. And the table also shows which table can connect to the other one and which one cannot because of the keys. A lot of type of accounts are listed in the table and explains how they can be connected to other tables. This method will also be easier to explain the conversion process.